Let's do a podcast.
All right.
Jazz hands.
That's the perfect intro. We're leaving it. Welcome to the Cyber PR Music Podcast. I am Ariel Hyatt. This is Cassandra Kubinski, one of my favorite musicians in the world. Why? I'm going to tell you. Because this girl gets it done. And you are one of the rare artists that has the left brain and the right brain connected. And what I admire so much about you is you are here and you are not going anywhere. And you have had a long career and you've got a long career ahead of you. And I love the way you think.
Well, thank you. It's an absolute joy to be here, so thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. We're going to get right into it today. We pre-gamed. We have a lot of thoughts.
Full on.
And Cassandra is partaking in my current Buzz to Bond Mastermind, which is a 7-week intensive where we are really going through the paces.
Yeah. And it's I think like what's so interesting about it is that the way that it's broken out and broken down into, it's not only like, bite-sized pieces or whatever, but I think it's just that like splitting it out into 7 weeks gives you as an artist an opportunity to not get overwhelmed, which is, as an artist and a songwriter and a human, I think like one of the reasons that we don't do a lot of things is because we look at the entirety of the process and say, that's too much, I'm just overwhelmed even thinking about that. And you break it down so that you feel like there are manageable pieces to what you're doing. And that's golden, especially for music marketing with capital M's. It can feel like a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Before we get too deep, can you take us back and give an introduction? I always hate reading the 100-word bio.
Right.
I'd love to hear from your words and mouth a little bit about you.
Yeah, sure. So I was born on August 21st. No. So I grew up in Enfield, Connecticut, and I kind of happened to get into musical theater as a preteen. And I wanted to do it, but it wasn't something that I really had some big professional aspiration to do. Despite that, I ended up in a professional production of a show called Annie, and the course was kind of set. I was like, all right, this is amazing. Like, I'm in the entertainment business. Then I pivoted. When I went to college, I had a vision of me on a stage playing a grand piano with like the lights coming through the fog. And I decided that I wanted to be a singer-songwriter. At the time, the people that were really big were folks like Nora Jones and Vanessa Carlton and John Mayer and Gavin DeGraw. And I felt like that was the community that was doing what I felt compelled to do. They were writing their own music. They were saying things about life in interesting ways. So, really everything else since then has come out of, having the boldness to move to New York City to be a singer-songwriter. And since that time along the way, of course, I can, there are many things I've done, and a lot of them are exciting to me, like working with the Goo Dolls, which was my very first concert ever. And then at some point I got to work with them on an autism song that I wrote. Meeting my hero, Billy Joel, who was probably my biggest inspiration as a songwriter, and getting to create some things with him. And kind of having a whole mix of singer-songwriter land, voice acting, on-camera and stage acting, and artist advocacy. So working as an artist coach, what I like to call my artist up-leveling space. And just helping artists level up, and we're all in that together. So it's been a good ride so far.
There's one thing that has really struck me about you when you speak about yourself as an artist, and that is, even though, and we're going to talk about the nitty-gritty about brand pillars and fan personas and identifying those things, you have an overarching vision of what your music stands for. Can you share that?
Yeah. So, and it has taken some time, really. Like, I just want to emphasize that this wasn't, I don't think, something I came to like right off the bat. But right now, what I say and what I see and what I feel really is that the reason I write songs and the reason I make music or make art is really to move from fear to freedom. And that's also what I hope my songs are tools for. Like, that's what I hope people get when they hear something of mine. We're all in whatever space we're in various ways, maybe holding ourselves back maybe a little stuck, maybe a little unsure, maybe a little like feeling real put down by the culture or the family or whatever, and to like even gain 1 millisecond of like that sensation of openness and freedom. That's really what music and songwriting has given me, and what I hope people get listening.
I love that as your true north. So we're going to spin away from your true north right now, and I'd like to talk about wasted energy. Weirdly, I see a lot of wasted energy happening now, partially because social media tools are so addictive, and we go to simply post about our new show and it's an hour and a half later and we're somehow watching cat videos, or even worse, we're doom scrolling into some really unpleasant place.
Oh yeah.
And you said something powerful when we were pre-gaming. You said artists waste energy trying to do what everyone else is doing. What does that look like in real life?
What I think it looks like, and I'll certainly call myself out on this as well as what I see in the artist community, is number one, comparison. You know, just getting on that social media or on that internet or watching the Olympics or whatever, and like just sitting there and watching and going like, oh my God, I'm not doing that, and I should be doing that. And their costumes are more amazing, and they have this band, and they, you know, or on social media, it's a killer if you sit there and look at stats, right? Because half of them aren't even real. I mean, probably more than half of them. So, and yet, you know, within our human psychology, we look and we go like, how am I doing compared to how they're doing? Likes, follows, comments, this, that. So I think that's one of the first places that we waste a lot of energy as artists. And the other way I think it looks to kind of chase a trend or do what other people are doing is that you look at literally what they're doing. Oh, this artist played that venue. Oh, I got to get a gig at that venue. And the antidote to that, I think, what I've learned that makes a profound difference is that before you create a to-do list, you create the why, and you create your own vision of like what actually would light you up. Like, you want to go get wherever you're getting. Let's take the performance as an example. How many venues are there around the world that you could perform at? Not an infinite number, but like a lot. And the reality is you're not going to, nor should you, play all of them. But the ones that you personally should play, I think that strategy derives from what are your outcomes? Who are the people you want to reach? How do you want to feel when you're performing? How do you want your audience to feel when you're performing? All right, well, maybe that narrows the field down so that now when you're looking at, you know, your awesome colleague who's just playing that hot club downtown and you're like, I want to play there. But you actually are like, no, I don't. It's not a match for like my energy or the community I want to build.
Right.
So that's been helpful.
So how do you personally filter out the crazy making instead of getting caught up in it?
That is a great question. The main thing is kind of building a kinesthetic ability to listen to what other people are getting themselves wrapped up in and not make it my drama. So and also sometimes to like actually have the self-respect to build some boundaries and like learn the ways to extricate from, for instance, a conversation where you walk in and you meet with someone and the first thing they want to do is, you know, complain about, I mean, really anything, but right. I mean, complaining is just such draining energy. Like if you're trying to be creative and you're trying to like be expansive, complaining about anything is just going to be a drain on that. But like, for instance, in the AI discussion, a lot of artists have a lot of anxiety and fear and anger and things going on in that space. So yeah, it's a real balance, right? Like to be compassionate and mindful of people's emotions and feelings in that space while not necessarily allowing myself to get wrapped up in their energy. So I think over, you know, a lot of years and a lot of intention, I've created ways for myself to notice when somebody is off down, like what I call crazymaking. And I don't think it's me. I don't remember if it was Louise Hay or Sark or like whoever it was with those books. But that phrase really resonated with me because I was like, oh, that's what it is. It's like with our energy and our words, we can make crazy. You know, we can also make creativity and we can make peace and we can make flow. But I think the default for a lot of people is like getting whipped up into like what's wrong and talking about that.
Yeah.
And so actually that's the answer. The answer is you choose to intentionally create a conversation for what's right instead of for what's wrong.
Right.
Like that's how
Right.
you get out of that.
And the 24-hour news cycle is not helping any of that. It's
so don't watch it. I don't watch
right.
the news.
Right,
I
exactly.
don't live on the earth. I'm an alien.
No, I think that's a great antidote, is getting caught up in that when you're trying to live a creative existence will stop your creativity.
Yeah, for sure.
When we were preparing to talk to each other, you mentioned something that I do know about you, but I love that you acknowledged and recognized, which is you had a shift moment during your career where you realized that partnerships changed everything for you.
Mm-hmm.
What was that moment and how did that come about?
Well, of course, now I'm not going to remember an actual moment, but I will say that phase one, what I consider sort of phase one of my career, I was in New York for 5 years, and then I moved to Nashville with a guy, and like there was drama, and then I moved back to New York City 6 years after the first time, and it was kind of like a whole new ball game, and I started recognizing that the way that I was going about creating, releasing music, the things that I had thought were going to happen for me or that I wanted to happen for me when I first moved to the city, at that time we're talking about like, I'm going to get signed to a label and a publisher and have a business manager and have an agent and be on tour, and like that's kind of what I thought I was going to be doing. And all of that has happened in various ways, but not in the ways that I envisioned it happening. So at a certain point, I took a step back and realized I've created a lot, I've accomplished a lot. I think I have a certain degree of respect in the industry, but why am I not having any fun? Like, why is this so stressful to me all the time? And part of what occurred to me was that it felt like I was doing everything myself and carrying everything myself. And so I started to consider that what if I took my creative ideas and the music that I wanted to make and I started to actively really look to like invest the energy in partnering. And that looked like partnerships with artists, partnerships with brands, partnerships with nonprofits and causes. And as I did that, which for me I think is very natural and I hadn't recognized that yet, what I discovered was not only did it become more fun because I'm not sitting in a dark room by myself like in an echo chamber all day. So there was like that positive feedback loop of working with somebody else or maybe a whole team. But also all of that to-do list stuff that you have to do as an independent artist to get the release out there, it just didn't feel as heavy. I was doing the same stuff. It just, the feeling around it was different. I didn't feel like I was doing it just for me. I felt like I was doing it for an us. And also, the way that I learned and am still learning to build powerful partnerships was that you are not the only one. You know, if you build them really well, one of the keys to a great partnership is that you have a partner on the other side who's truly just as psyched as you. They're just as invested as you. It doesn't necessarily have to be for the same reasons, but like they really see something in this for themselves. And so they're motivated. You don't have to
Drag them along.
Yes, or be motivating them.
I find that so many times when there's a band situation, there's like the one person in the band that's doing all the work. They're exhausted. The other members of the band are not the true partners. They're the hired guns, or they're in it to drink beer or get laid, or I don't know what they're doing, but they're not doing the work.
It also may be that they're just not, like they've never had a conversation where like there's been a discussion of, if this works, if we succeed at this, like what is in it for you? You know, I think you have to inquire about that for yourself. You have to discover that for yourself so that you're motivated by like, why are you doing this? Yeah.
If you're an independent artist, how do you build a team, especially when you feel like you don't have an endless supply of money to pay people?
Yeah, so again, for me, inside of partnerships, pros and cons here, but like for me, sometimes the teams are more per project. So I end up with the people I'm working with on, this release with this artist, and then the team I'm working with on like the next release with the next brand or personality or whatever. how is always like, so how do you build? I think you build with courage and with compassion for yourself as much as for other people. And you build focused on the value that you bring as well as what you want to get out of the people that you might be saying, I want to work with. Whatever that is, I want to work with an agent. I want to work with a manager. I want to work with this artist. Okay. It started, again, in that big shift for me once I started the whole process. I would start with like, well, why might they say yes to me? And I would like journal on that. I would actually sit there with my open Word doc and be like, first I'd get past all the self-doubt that says they won't, and I'm boring and horrible, and they'd never want to work with me, right? And then like I actually like start to write down the things, and I'm like, well, actually, why would they want to work with me? I'm super motivated. I'm really driven. I bring a lot of organization. I have this and that previous history of like, if I'm pitching them a project where I'm like, there's a playbook for this. I've done it before. How do I make this an easy win for them? And people don't always say yes, but I feel like I started getting more yeses once I started approaching it that way.
Yeah, totally. That makes so much sense. Let's talk about identity and brand, which is an area that we've worked on together. And a few weeks ago, we were having a conversation, and you said something that surprised me. I was talking about the Buzz to Bond course and how I'm designing this mastermind, and I'm designing it sort of as we go, and it's been really fun to have you in it. But I talked about the foundation, the very top of the funnel, which is the Bond marketing funnel, starts with fan personas, but before that, your brand identity, so brand pillars. And you looked at me and said, I have always struggled with brand pillars, which shocked me because I always think of you as an artist that has a really clear sense of what your brand is and what you're putting out into the world. Why do you struggle with that specifically?
I think, well, if I had to surmise, I feel like for me there are a couple reasons, and one, this is going to sound wild, but like coming from the acting world and the theater world, you play a lot of roles. I'm like, I don't care, just put an outfit on me. I'm going to like express the character, but I don't have to like be one character. And the other reason, and you reflected this to me, which was super valuable, hence why you get in these courses and you be in these coaching accountabilities and such, is that like what you said to me was like, I think that you do know, and you're just way overthinking it and like making this way harder on yourself.
Yeah.
And as much as I wanted to brush that comment off and be like, yeah, everybody tells me that, I was like, wait a minute, but why does everybody tell me that? Maybe there's like real truth in, I really am overthinking it. So for me, it may be that my brand pillars, right, the space that I occupy and kind of the way that I like to present myself, is so automatic for me that I just didn't put language around it, and yet I have shown up in these ways over time, and like people outside of me could be like, oh, her brand pillars are, like music for causes and, fiery power and, collaboration and partnerships. And I'd be like, oh, I guess they really are, but like I wasn't identifying that. So yeah, I mean, note to other artists, I think doing that work, and particularly in the process that you offer in Buzz to Bond, it helps clarify it, it helps simplify it. You can walk right through it and be like, oh, okay, I'm getting out of my own head. I don't have to figure this out myself. But for me personally, there was totally, and still is, a piece of like, I just need to not think that I'm going to get it wrong. Yeah. Yeah. Like there was that. There was just like, whatever I say is going to be the wrong thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's also I think there's something that's really important to note is that once you verbalize a brand pillar or you decide this is what I am right now, you can always change your mind. You can always change your brand. And that's the thing I really love about releasing music now. When I started 30 years ago, you had to be extremely narrow. And I remember learning this lesson. I was working in Boulder, Colorado with a lot of the artists that were up and coming and touring. And the A&R guys would fly out from New York or LA and they would look at the band. I had one band in particular that I loved, and there were 3 lead singers. Epically talented, each one. 1 woman, 2 men, different vibes. And I could see the confusion the minute like it switched. The lead singer, I'm like, have you guys ever heard of the Grateful Dead? Like, what are you missing here?
Right.
But they would always say the same thing, like, well, it's not all the same, so we can't possibly sign this because we don't know how to package.
How to put it in a box.
Right, and it was just, I'm so grateful for today's music industry, which is like, you can be flexible. People only listen to singles anyway, so you can do Joni Mitchell and then do some sort of power pop ballad and still be the same artist.
I mean, perfect example is what I'm doing, or I'm going to say like sort of the A to B. So a year or so ago, I did a fantastic collaboration with an Americana artist named Sawyer Fredericks, who his career kind of kickstarted by winning The Voice 10 or so years ago. But he's just a very powerful and tuned in and sensitive and socially conscious and environmentally conscious guitar playing singer-songwriter who plays guitar like a mofo and has a really incredible voice. He kind of sort of lives up where I live in the New York capital region. And I reached out to him and created this collaboration with him, and we did a collaborative version of my song Burn It Down, which was very, very Americana. It was piano and guitar, and we toured together. We did like 6 tour dates together. We got PR together. We opened for Ben Folds on New Year's Eve together. Like, we did all this stuff. And then there was like the denouement of that collaboration. So now, the project I'm working on now is also acoustic music. It's acoustic versions of songs that I had on the Lifetime TV show Dance Moms. And most of the songs I had on the show, while they were rooted in piano, which is my main instrument and often the focus sonically, the songs that were on the show were fully produced, but I've never re-recorded them acoustically. So I just did that. That is all rolling out. And my partner for that, one of them, is Abby Lee, who is the star of that show. Abby Lee as a personality, Sawyer Fredericks as a personality, could like not be further apart. But the core of the musical, like the music is what's at the emotional center point of all of that. And I suppose that like there's a brand through line to the music. So to your point, it's like, is it reinvention or is it just a twist of the kaleidoscope where it's like I'm taking my music and kind of positioning it in this environment and now it's over here in this environment. But like the music can still move, operate, move people, inspire people, connect. Like, does that make sense?
Yes, I love the notion of the twist of the kaleidoscope.
Yeah, I use that one a lot. I'm like, if something feels so close or like so like, oh, like it's almost there, I'm like, one is like the chiropractic tweak. I'm like, I need a chiropractic tweak on this. And the other thing is like, I need like a little twist of the kaleidoscope to see this differently. There's something that I'm missing that I'm not seeing that would change everything.
One of the key elements in the Bond marketing funnel is repeatable strategies. And as I was writing from Buzz to Bond, I started thinking about what makes a successful artist. An indie artist has to form repeatable strategies. Repeatable strategies around not only what works in the studio and how do you like create and distribute music, but repeatable strategies in how you attract and multiply your fan base. I think this is so critical and something that is not really discussed. There's a lot of discussion around how do you turn a casual fan into a super fan, the biggest buzzword that I can't stand. The buzzword that's not a buzzword because it's been around for 20 years or more. So let's get into repeatable strategies, and have you uncovered some for yourself or recognized them?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have. I think I could identify some, and then there are probably some that I'm not thinking of as repeatable, but they are. So there's a workflow that's everything from registering my music with all the places you need to register, which is a whole other can of beans and a different podcast. There are repeatable strategies around smart linking things. So like I happen to use Foundy, but there are lots of places that you can use to kind of create trackable links for your music. Repetition and having it in the calendar. Ding ding, that's tip number 1. If it's not in my calendar, it's not real. So as far like if you want repeatable strategies, for instance, let's say you have a mailing list or you have a Patreon or you just want people to pay attention to you and your music. if you show up one time, or you show up 2 times, or maybe even 3 times on social media or in an email, and then you disappear, people are going to forget about you. Like, you're not going to remain relevant, and I think nor are you going to build that deeper relationship that you're hoping to build with your fans. So I literally have it in my calendar. It's on every single Tuesday. It says, add value to your Patreons. Okay, do I get to it every Tuesday? I actually don't. But what I've promised them is that I will be in the Patreon 1 to 2 times a month. I think that's what it says. And so if I hit that 1 to 2 times a month, but it's in my calendar for every week so that I'm reminded, so that I don't have it, like I don't hit that moment and go like, oh my God, it's the end of the month and I did nothing. Or worse, it's the end of 4 months and I haven't been in there. Oh my God. So that's the kind of thing that if you want to set something up so that it repeats, really literally put it in your calendar. For real. All of our phones have the calendar things where you can say it repeats this many times,
right.
It ends never, remind me 17 times, all of that. So that's very helpful. And the other repeatable strategy that I guess I've employed is, again, collaborations.
Yeah.
Again, with the partnerships, I think I could do an even better job at it. I want to do an even better job at it, in the sense of creating collabs in the online space that are entertaining and inspiring and educational, and that adds something to the endless inundation that we all face, every day.
It's truly endless. Okay, so in closing, if there's an artist listening today and they feel overwhelmed and distracted, what should they stop doing immediately?
I mean, I think this brings it a bit full circle. I literally feel like you should stop reading the news or watching the news and looking out into the culture or the community to figure out what should you be doing. I think creating internal practices for grounding and hearing your own internal guide, your own compass, are really powerful. And that's getting into the woo, which I am full on woo in my own life. There's an integration there alongside the actual practical methodologies that I use. So it's not, I'm not saying that somebody has to get real woo, but I am saying that I think it makes a profound difference for us on a human level, on a body, mind, creativity level, to disconnect from the cultural crazy making, or the industry crazy making. So I mean, I would also recommend doing this radical, insane thing, which is trusting your impulse for what you want to make, especially when you're oh my God, the impulse that's coming is not what I made before.
Yeah.
Or it kind of involves a vision of something that I have no idea how to get. It's kind of too big. So I think that's nurture that, fan that flame, see what happens if you let that live, instead of being well, we can't do that because I don't have the money and I don't know the people, and whatever it is that you immediately go crush it. So I mean, it's whimsical, but I think trust the dreams that come to you. They're for you. They're yours. They're not somebody else's. That's another thing. It took me such a long time. It took me too long to get, was that the dreams I have, I thought everybody had them. I thought they all wanted the same things I want. I really did. And therefore I felt competitive. And then I don't know, one day, through probably all kinds of that work that I'm alluding to, I realized oh, they don't all want what I want.
No.
I want what I want because it's for me to learn something in pursuing it, and maybe even getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does buzz marketing distract us from going towards our true north?
In a lot of ways. The first way, I think, is that it feeds the antithesis of what we just talked about. So the antithesis to your inner voice, the space that trusts, the space that says yes to the crazy dream, the antithesis to that is the ego. So buzz marketing fans the ego. I could buy me some Facebook ads, and I can see how many likes and follows and whatever's that I got, and I can pursue that, and I can wake up every day like an addict and get on my phone and be what signals were sent in that way, but none of those people, unless of course you feed that into like the Bond marketing funnel, which is a whole other combo. Because I guess you could, but like if you're not doing that, then all of that is flash in the pan, quick sizzle, turn the sparkler on and it's out before happy birthday is over. So, it's, so I think that's, what was the question again?
It's perfect. So I often say like buzz marketing and Bond marketing have to live simultaneously and side by side because you want to have some lights on, but you have to focus on the moment after the sparkler goes out. I love that.
It's also like, now that you're saying that, it's like another of the many drawbacks to focusing exclusively on buzz marketing or like too heavily is everybody sees it. Like you don't think that they can tell, but they can tell. Like, they really can.
Yeah.
Do you know what I know? Like, if I'm looking at, like, somebody out there, right, in the culture as a possible collab, and I go and look at, like, anything of theirs anywhere, if they have 10,000 YouTube views and 2 comments, like, I know those aren't real views. Right. Now, for me, I don't judge. Maybe it's part of a bigger strategy for them to, like, create momentum ignition or something like that, But I don't look at them. I'm definitely not looking at them as a partner who can drive 10,000 streams. I know they can buy 10,000 streams, So I think that's important to like realize that
there's a
use it strategically. Like if you're going to do the buzzy marketing stuff, I'm not going to say don't do it. I'm just going to say like if you stop there, you're shortchanging yourself. And here's the worst part, the absolute worst part is that you are the one who suffers because you wake up every day like knowing that you don't have real connections. Like the feeling of having 3 real fans versus 300 likes from, I don't know, bots or, people whose accounts are closed and you can't actually talk to them. It's not fulfilling on a human level to not have the realness of like real human connection.
I was going to ask for parting words, but I don't need to. Cassandra Kubinski,
That is it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ariel. Thank you so much for having me.
And we're out.